Hello and welcome back to KGC Engineering and to our mini project. Now today's objective is to get the top dash rail in, which is the one that goes behind the windscreen, and obviously to get the A-posts repaired as well. And if there's time, this is only an if there is time, we'll see about trying to get the outer wings on as well, but I'm not expecting to get that done today, but we'll see how we go. So let's get stuck into it. So the piece that we're actually replacing is this top edge piece here that attaches to the front scuttle panel, which I fitted in the last video. Now I've also got some repairs to do to the A-posts around here on the inside and the same the other side as well. So I think what the plan of action is going to will be to obviously take the clamps out, and then I'll see about cutting away the remaining part of the dash rail, so I can get into these corner pieces to then repair those and then put our new dash rail in position. Once obviously I've prepped it all, because then once it's in, it gets welded down the sides of the corners and obviously along the top edge there, where I've got it clamped at the moment. So I think the best thing to do is to drop this on time lapse and get the grinder out and get stuck in. Right, so now I've managed to get all of the old top dash rail out, which was actually quite a big task really, trying to get into the corners and that with the grinder. It's a little bit awkward, but we've done it just by sort of nibbling away at it. Hopefully you're able to sort of see some of that in the time lapse there. So the next stage is obviously going to be to do the repairs to the inside of the A-posts here. So if I just grab the camera a mini moment, he says, there we go, and I can quickly show you what I mean. Because this is the driver's side A-post here. And hopefully you can see there that we've got a few holes down here and up there and there as well. So we need to cut these bits out and replace it with new material so that it's solid before we put the dash rail in, because the dash rail comes in and is welded along here, and it's exactly the same on this side. In fact, this side's a little bit worse. You see a big hole there, so we need to sort all this out before we get stuck in and get this dash rail in. But we're certainly heading in the right direction. Oh, and the other bonus of doing that is that you may remember from, I think it was either the last video or the video before, where putting those repair pieces into the bulkhead. It means we're also able to grind and tidy these up as well, with having the dash rail out, so we can do that at the same time. Right, so now I've got the top piece cut out and all ground back and everything. I need to look at repairing these bits on the A-post. What I'm going to do is repair a larger piece than just the small area there. That's because there's a few more bits that need repairing down there, and if I do it all as one big piece, that's going to be stronger and better than lots of little pieces joined together like a jigsaw puzzle. So I'm going to use some card to make up a template. Now, you may have seen me do this on one of the previous videos. Basically all we do is we use a card as a template to see how the panel needs to be shaped and, and cut so that we can get something pretty accurate with the metalwork when we come to actually work it out, and put the new piece in. Now with this we've got quite a few angles here, so what I'm going to do is just on the bodywork for now just sort of mark out sort of where I want to go cutting wise, to give me a bit of an idea of sort of sizes, so I can then work with an appropriate sized piece of card, which unfortunately that one's just a little bit too small, so I need to get a slightly bigger piece of card, and then I'm literally just going to wedge it all into shape and bend it, mark it out to cut it. I'll probably have to cut it as well to get some of the bends and things in it, and hopefully we'll end up with something that's going to work out quite well to then flatten out onto our piece of metal. So I'm just going to grab a bigger piece of card and then we can have a look at getting this one made up. Right, I've got a much bigger piece of card now, so I know it's going to be long enough to do what we need it to do. So let's first of all cut this to length. So cut the tab off and come a bit higher up there. You only have to sort of start out a little bit rough, but you just get it to a size that you can manage. That isn't a big piece flapping about all over the place. So get that in there. We know that that's going to be long enough to do what we want. Now then, we've got a bend towards the bottom there, so let's put that in. And this is the joy of doing this in cardboard first, is that we can shape it to fit better than if we were trying to do this out of a piece of metal. You just wouldn't get it in there. Now we also need to make sure we put that lip in as well, so a lip that goes on the inside of here. So let's put that in. So let's get that in there. And we're going to bend that up there as well, so we might have to put a little cut in there to accommodate that. So we've got a bit that bends over, also bends up, and a bit for the inside of the window frame. There we are, that's starting to go quite nicely now. Right, so yeah, that's looking pretty good. So now we've got a bit more of the shape, we can, right, that's going to need to get cut along there, and put that on there to make that a triangle. So, like I said, all this is literally just making up a template, and because card is very cheap and easy, and this is just a bit of old cereal packet, it's easy enough to work with. You can see what you're doing, and it allows you to then transfer the shape across easily to the to the metal when you come to cut it out. So I'm quite happy with that. That's gone together quite well. So let's go and transfer this onto a piece of metal and see what we can do with that. Right. Right, so we've got our template here, ready to go on a piece of, I think it's 1mm steel. Now I know that I needed to go a little bit longer on the width of our piece, so I'm just going to put it over just a little bit further. I also know we need a bit more of an angle up here to just get in the corner. So it's quite simple. You just draw around where you know you need to go. Just do that. And anywhere where you've had to make little indents, obviously put those in as well, so you have to cut that out. And also mark out where your fold lines are going to be as well, because that makes it a lot easier when we come to fold it all up. So let's draw that. That's a fold line there, and that's one around there, and one from there to there, and that will be one pretty much along there as well. Fold line there. So what we can do now is bring the grinder over and we can cut this shape out. And then once we cut it, we can bend the tabs in the vise, to get that get it all bent up. Now these ones do need to go over quite a way, so I'm probably going to do that'll be in and out of the vise a few times, I think. So it's certainly over 90 degrees, and then sort of trialing it in and out of the car. So let me go and grab the grinder. I'll cut that out, get it bent, and I'll see you back over at the car and see if we can get it to fit in. Right. So I've made up our new piece to go in, and it pretty much fits in really well now. As you can see, there's quite a few different bends and things on it. So it's always quite a complicated piece, but it's better to do a bigger piece than lots of small pieces, because it's just going to be stronger. So what we need to do now is, because this isn't fitting in fully because we've still got the original in there, we now need to cut the original away, get that out of the way, so then we can see exactly where how this piece is going to fit in. So basically we're doing the final bits of prep for it to get it to go in, so that it goes in nice ahead of us getting the other side done first, but then obviously the top dash piece in there. So it's time to fire up the grinder and see if we can get this piece carefully cut out, because obviously we don't want to cut into our scuttle panel too much. I have nicked it already, but again we don't want to be cutting too far out with things. We don't want to go too far with it, but luckily all this here is already loose, so it's just along there, down there, and across the bottom, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get out. So a little flying thing. Right, let's crack on. Right, so our new piece fits in there actually really quite good. I'm quite impressed and quite pleased at how well that fits in there. So my plan is going to be to clamp this up along here, and possibly along this edge here, so that we can get this top edge welded and also a bit at the bottom, and then I'll bring in this side of things here to get it in sort of final position, because we need this join here to be right, because it's pretty visible, so we need to get that looking nice on there, and then like I say we can pull the rest of that in. So as luck would have it, I've actually got a couple of clamps there, so if I line that up on there, at least get it just a tiny bit happier with it. seems to be getting stuck now. Every time I've done it, it's been fine, and then I come to add the clamp and all of a sudden everything's getting stuck in the wrong place. That's just how it wants to go. No, I think that's just how it wants to go. Okay, which actually pulls it all together quite nicely, to be honest. So, like I said, what I'll do is get teeth back in. We can now look at getting the welder out to weld across this top edge and where I can down here on the outside. I can then push and adjust the bottom bits in there and obviously weld them together so it's nice and finished. So that then obviously, when we come to put our top rail piece in, it's going to go in nicely and it's all going to look pretty good. So I'll get the welder out, glue that on and get it tidied up and then do the same the other side. So quite a bit to do still, but we're getting there. Righty-ho, so we've got our piece pretty much welded in. Obviously we still need to do this edge here, but I'm not going to do this edge until we've got our new A-post outer pieces in, which come all the way down here, along the sill piece there at the bottom. So until we've got those bits, I'm not going to weld that bit because it's probably going to come up and join like halfway up it, and I don't want to do work that I don't need to just yet. So on the outside we've still got a couple of holes and things which need tidying up, which I can do later. My main objective is obviously to get this back together. We can address the little bits afterwards, so like here, so we might have to perhaps cut a small piece out there and weld it in, which is probably going to be the best option there, to get that all nicer, a bit nicer on there, and it'll probably be the same the other side, which is incidentally where we are now up to. So if I come around here, I can show you that this side again is pretty much exactly the same. We've got a hole up here, which does run pretty much all the way down into the corner, so it's not perhaps as long as the one for the passenger side, but it's still big enough because obviously we've got these rust holes here. So again, I think we're going to come right across and right down to there. Now what I can probably do, if I'm lucky, is use the card template that I made for the other side, and if I bend the folds the other way around, then hopefully it might produce what we need for this side. So I'll go and grab that and we can have a quick look. Right, so I've got our card template for the other side. Like I say, I'm just going to try bending the folds the other way, just to see if it will fit in. I mean, logically you'd think it would, and lo and behold, it does. So that is a brilliant bit of news, because that means I can just use the same template, just reversed. So let's cut that to length. I mean, obviously you're going to need to shorten it, but if I cut that to length, again, like I say, I can just use those fold marks again, and away we go with it, which is absolutely brilliant. So where are my scissors? On the top. Now I know it's only a piece of cardboard. And you think, oh, what are you doing? Just trying to use save a bit of cardboard. But it's a case of, well, you've already made a template, and if you can reverse it. Don't make more work for yourself, by making it another template to do the same job, that you've already done once. Why would you do that? So yes, so that'll work well on there. So what I'll do is flatten that out, make it up out of metal and bend it as before, and then literally follow on, cut that out, put the new piece in, and hopefully we'll get this top railing fairly soon. So I'll go and make this all up, and then we can see about getting it in. Right, well, it's moment of truth now. So I've got the top rail here, and I've already prepped it for welding in. I think it's one of those that once it goes in, I want to keep it in. I don't want to be able to, really I don't want to be able to take it in and out 1700 million times. I want it to go in and be in there. It may be that I need to get a bit more filing might need to happen, get power filing just to take a few more burrs out or something. But at the moment it seems to be more or less heading in the right direction, which is encouraging. So I think a bit more down there. But certainly getting in pretty good. So yeah, I think I need to do a little bit more grinding down here, which will then allow this end to come up a bit better. But other than that, it's going in pretty well, which is always a good sign. So I've not necessarily worried about this piece, but it's been on my mind for a little while. It's like, yeah, I want to get it in, but it needs to be in, and it needs to be in right. So I think, oh yeah, there's quite a burr there. So I'll go and grab the power file and just take some of these down a little bit more, just to help us out a bit. And then I think it ought to go in pretty good. Right, now I've managed to get it in, and from my previous measurements for the parcel shelf area, I remembered, and I've still got the notes for the distance. So I've just measured it out, and I've actually got it absolutely in the right place. So before I weld all across the bottom of the screen here, I want to weld up these two ends, because then I know that if the two ends are in the right place, the middle bit can then be adjusted up and down as required, just to get a slightly better fit on it. So I'll just weld these up, and then we can get on to sort of adjusting this, then we can, like I say, just get it all together. So there we go. Now, I'll just do the other side. Joys of having a welder on wheels. Makes that job a bit easier. So I can now leave the welder for a minute. And just to doubly make sure, we'll just remeasure those again. And yep, that one's right. And that one is as well. It is always a good thing to try and remember to take measurements and adjust as required. Because that way you just know everything goes back together if it's all measured out right. So you just know. Well, it's good. Right. So what I need to do now is just to try and get the middle part of our I forgot what it's called now, dash top up a little bit. It doesn't need to go up much, just a little bit, so that it's a little bit more in line with the other pieces there. So now I've welded it both ends, I should probably be able to release the clamps carefully, just in case anything decides to explode upwards or something, or down or wherever. And hopefully we should then have a little bit of room to play with it, so that we can hopefully nudge that up. So what I'm going to do is climb in it so it's a bit easier to see here, and with my hammer I'm just going to gently tap it up a bit, which seems to be moving it a little bit. So this is literally just to help get it all sort of lined up a wee bit better. So it might take a little bit of fiddling about, but I think we'll definitely get there. So let's. Well, obviously, what we don't want to do is, we won't damage those rods because they're in now, but push that up there. There we go. If we just start to get a bit of movement, that makes life a bit easier. Let's try that one. So hopefully all that in place there. So now if we can do the same over here, which may need a bit of a tap. That's better. 100 times better. So what I want to do is to get it up high enough so that our holes that we very carefully drilled last time are going to be able to go right through to the dash top as well. Because my plan is going to be to start welding this from the middle and working back out. Each side, so I'll probably do like a few, so start in the middle and then maybe do a few there and then a few there and a few there and so on, like that, because it just evens out any sort of heat distortion being centered anywhere, because obviously it's a long piece, this, so we want to make sure that it goes in as nice as possible and there's as little risk of causing any damage to either set of panels that are there. So, right, we're definitely going to need some more clamps though. So what I'm going to do is clamp all this up now. I'm happy with where it is. Get a few more on there, and then I can start going through and getting it all welded, which will be a good bit of progress for the end of the day, which is rapidly approaching. Right, well, that's finally that top panel in. It's gone in really well actually. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. And all that remains for me to do now is tidy up obviously all the welds, and there's a few more little bits to tidy up inside and that's essentially that part done, which is a really good place to sort of leave you with this project for now, for today's video at least, because I can just do that and you don't really need to see me grinding it all the way. So that's it for today, as I just said. Obviously the next video is going to be to get the front wings on at last, which will be a really good step forward, because I've been wanting to get them on for quite a while, but you have to do things in order. You can't mess about and try and do things in the wrong order. You need to do it in a logical way, and hopefully if you followed this series so far, you'll see that I have done this in a pretty much a logical, a logical way of doing things, so that each panel is going in at the right time, and the relevant repairs are being made. So all that remains to say is thank you very much for watching, and if you have liked this video, don't forget to give us the good old thumbs up. Also, do make sure that you hit the subscribe button as well, so that you don't miss out on the next part of this video series or any of the other videos that I decide to do. So until next time, happy classic motoring.